for the fearless, dreamers, scallywags, dazzlers, explorers, and incurable romantics. We are all connected, and this is for you. Future Perfect. I'm Sunny Doench Stricker. I'm the owner winemaker of Future Perfect, and my tasting room is in Los Olivos, California. My winery's in Happy Canyon, but currently we're at Diamond Sky Ranch, our property here in Buellton, just on the edge of the Santa Rita Hills in Santa Barbara County. I have been making wine almost 7 years. I started mentoring under a local female winemaker, working on her wines while I saved my dough and made some wine, and then I had some really awesome friends that are also winemakers here in Santa Barbara County that encouraged me about the wines that I was making and really encouraged me to open a tasting room. And they just wore me down until I finally believed them. And when one became available, I launched into that in 2020. And I just made all the varietals that I love in case no one showed up. That was my business plan. But thankfully, people have come and it's gone really great. And so I'm just thrilled that I get to be a winemaker in what I consider to be the most extraordinary wine growing region in all of the world. Well, I fell in love with wine in Europe, and in particular France, but all around Europe. And I love that there it's a lifestyle, lower in alcohol, really beautiful, bright fruit, balanced acid, great with food, but also just delicious on its own. And that's the style that I work hard to make, that old world style that is lower in alcohol, so you can drink more, fall over less. I love in Europe that you can have wine at lunch, go back to work, have it at dinner, still get up early and have your exercise. It's more of a lifestyle. So my goal with Future Perfect is that you really can just enjoy wine as part of your lifestyle. I work on that old world style by paying attention to my bricks when I harvest, but also the pH and the acid. So I harvest a little earlier than some more traditional California brands, focusing on that lower alcohol and that brighter acid content. I named my winery Future Perfect because it's an English verb tense. That means what's happening now will be completed in the future. And I feel that way in the spring at bud break, thinking, oh my gosh, this will become a grape that I will have harvested, I will have made into wine, brought it here to you. Hopefully you'll take it away and have your own Future Perfect. So it's sort of a whimsical nod to the journey of the grape. And I wanted it to be really hopeful and not too pretentious, because we're not curing cancer, you know, we're just making delish. So I wanted the whole brand to feel really hopeful and exciting. I'm from Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, but I went to the Ohio State University, and then I was brought out to Los Angeles in my late teens. So I hustled through school and then came out to LA and worked as an actor in TV and film for the last several decades. And I've always loved wine. So even during that time, I would study wine. I think it's just a miracle that grapes become this delish. So I put myself through Dubset, even while I was just working in the entertainment industry. So when I had an opportunity to move up here to the Santa Barbara County region, I was instantly excited and motivated to get working right away in wine. Austin, this is my rosé. I call it the Porch Pounder.
Excellent.
So we're close enough. It's 100% Grenache. I fell in love with rosé in Provence, you know, as one does.
It's hard to not.
It's hard to not. And traditionally there, you get a lot of 100% Grenache rosés, which I just love. I'm a big fan. So these are 20-year-old Grenache vines from Watch Hill Vineyard in Los Alamos, the new Alisos Canyon AVA. Because the vines are so old, and 2023 was so cold, and God, that harvest went on and on. At the beginning, I was like, oh, it's so nice. We're just relaxing. We're not bringing in fruit yet. And then I was like, it needs to get hot. We need to get the fruit off the vines. So when I brought this into the winery, I foot tread it for quite a while, which a lot of people think is so romantic.
So you personally foot tread
I did. And friends will say, I want to come foot stomp with you. And I'm like, it's really cold and it's just spiders running up your legs, but come on, let's go. So I foot tread it for a while, and then we went to press, and I think it's just this really pretty color.
Yeah, it's got the really nice salmon color going on.
Yes.
Yeah, this is very close to what you do get in Provence in terms of the style aromatically and stuff like that, which is not particularly common for Southern Californian rosé. It's a lot less heavy, it's a lot less cloying. Really pretty juice.
Thank you. And low in alcohol as well. 12.5 is the ABV on this one.
Fabulous.
So you can porch pound it.
Cheers.
Well, starting our tiny little white wine flight with Sauvy B. 100% Sauvignon Blanc from Grassini Family Vineyard in Happy Canyon. I ferment and age this little nugget in neutral French oak.
Okay.
So it doesn't see any stainless, and I call this breakfast wine.
All right.
No judgies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I started making this during COVID, and well, we know what happened there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Yes, 100% Sauvignon Blanc, Happy Canyon AVA, so it's a warmer climate. But it has that beautiful, almost a tropical note on the front end. Bright acid, great with food. This is always a crowd pleaser. And on several Michelin star menus around the world, I love this a lot. But this is what I call the red wine drinker's white wine.
Okay.
When red wine drinkers come into Future Perfect and say, no, I'm not into it, I say, just try it. And they're like, oh, hot damn, that's delish.
Yeah, because it's got a lot of intensity. So
yes.
It's got the bright and the acidity, but the acidity isn't like overpowering. It's not just taking charge. But at the same time, it's like a little bit rounded, a little bit fuller on the finish, a little more tropical.
Oh, cool.
I like it. Pretty nice.
12%. I mean, I'm 1,000 years old. Am I reading it right? Maybe it's 12.8. I think it's 12.8.
Let's check this out. 12.8.
12.8.
There we go.
Thank you. I'm 1,000. When you get my age, you got to really. Plus, they don't make you make that very big. But I always love to know alcohol because I want it to be low. So.
One of the things that when we talk to people sort of from France or from Italy, they wonder about the American obsession with thinking about the alcohol content of the wines.
Yes.
And I've always held that because there's no regulation in California about the style you can make, Happy Canyon doesn't have to taste a certain way, it doesn't have to be made a certain way.
Right.
One of the great indicators is the alcohol content. And so it seems, at least so far, that your alcohol contents tend to be sort of below that 13.5 hit, which again brings, I think, that European focus in the style.
Yes, you're exactly right. And Happy Canyon, where it's really hot, can indicate that you're going to have a big high alcohol wine. So I do focus on harvesting earlier than most out there.
Wonderful. Very cool. All right, let's try the Riesling.
Can I sucker you to?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Yes, moving to the Riesling.
All right.
So I love dry Riesling, and it's not always easy to get your hands on here. So I made, what I wanted to drink, and this was one of them. The fascinating thing about Riesling here in Santa Barbara County is that every year I've made a Riesling, and every year that vineyard has ripped it out, saying it's not popular. We're going to plant something that's more popular. And I'm always like, oh my God, the wine critics say great things about the Riesling every year, and people love it. So this year, this vintage in particular for the 2022 is from Gainey Vineyard in the San Ynez Valley. Also a hotter climate than a traditional Riesling in the old world. So it has a little tropical on the front end of this as well, but then it does have that petrol and the bright acid you really want, making it great with tacos, sushi, spicy food.
Is that ripe pear that I'm getting on the nose?
Yes.
Oh, it's great.
Right? And then you get sort of that traditional petrol, which is kind of cool.
What have you experienced in terms of Riesling acceptance out here in California? There's so few people making Riesling, and when I talk to a lot of Soms out here, they have a bigger fight with getting California wine drinkers to embrace Riesling of any type than, say, maybe somebody in the middle of the country or on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, Riesling is so polarizing. When people come to Future Perfect and we say we have a dry Riesling, they're like, I think I'm good. I think
really
I can
dry?
skip that one. Exactly. Yeah. Is it though, really? And I'm like,
you just lied to me to get me to drink
right?
it.
And this has been a surprising crowd pleaser because I really thought how people respond to Riesling, we're not going to be able to sell this. But when they try it, they're like, oh my goodness, yes, I get it now. I just think Riesling has such a bad rap because, and by the way, sweet Riesling can be delicious.
Absolutely.
So I really prefer a dry Riesling, and here where it's warmer. Every year I make it from a different vineyard. I'm so excited. I contracted for a really exceptional vineyard for 2024 called Kick On Ranch.
A different one than this in 2023.
Different one than this. Every year it's different.
All right.
Yes, so I'm excited that you get to try this one.
Yeah, really nice. I love that mixture of that sort of ripe fruit, and then you do go into some of those classical like petrol and high acid notes. Yeah, good stuff. Beautiful. Cheers.
Cheers. Well, we're moving on to the reds. This is Grenache, and this might be my favorite red wine that I make. You could chill this and sip it poolside or crush it as is. Portico Hills Vineyard in Los Alamos. And yeah, this one is also on several Michelin star menus around the world. Just easy drinking, low in alcohol, 13%. I really love.
I don't know if people can see this, but you can see all the way through it. Like I can see every bit of my hand through that red Grenache, which is so uncommon for Southern California Grenache.
It is, and this. I dig this one. It's great with food, but it's also awesome as is, and can be sipped poolside. You can just really crush this one.
Yeah, like red apple skins and a little bit of like smooth cola. It's very, very nice. I like this one.
I love it, Austin. Say the words. I'm a terrible describer, so I love when people are saying the words. I'm either like, yum, or meh. That's how it goes for me.
Well, I believe you, because if I'm the one who's saying the words better, then something's gone horribly wrong. I am cheers on that. But like speaking of Los Alamos, you mentioned that where we're sitting right now, you can see rocket launches.
So yes, this is. I mean, you can feel the wind from the ocean. So Santa Rita Hills are behind us. 13 miles to the west is the ocean, and that is also Vandenberg Space Force. Space Force. So we get to see the rocket launches from there. We call this the launch pad because we sit out here and with our wine and watch the rockets launch. It's very cool. Yeah. But you also can tell that the ocean breeze is coming over. It crests the hillside, and it's awesome to watch the marine layer crest over and fill the valley below. We get to, because we're at Diamond Sky Ranch, we have a 365-degree view of the Santa Barbara County Valley. We get to see so many of the different awesome microclimates. And our mountain, I mean, it's the only place in the northern continent where the mountains run west to east. So those awesome pockets of microclimate allow us to grow almost every varietal in the world. That's why this is such a celebrated region, and why I love being a winemaker here. It's just so awesome.
And like until we get VR, I can't help people to feel it, but like the sun is really warm coming down. But every bit of that breeze, you feel the coolness, you feel the ocean.
Isn't it wild?
It's very different. It's a very refreshing breeze. And
it is.
Part of how I believe that you can get this kind of freshness from a place that has this much direct sun as well.
Yes. And you will even experience, I think, a little of that salinity from the Pinot Noir we'll try, which is from the Santa Rita Hills.
Yeah, the fact that we're trying the Grenache before the Pinot Noir says something interesting.
People always comment on, wait a minute, we're having Grenache first. I'm like, just wait.
Fabulous.
But this is, a crushable nugget.
Very cool.
Okay.
Next up,
we have Pinot Noir. This is from a really epic 200-acre vineyard called Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Okay.
In the Santa Rita Hills. It is farmed and managed by women, which is pretty exciting. And this is just that, I think, sexy, elegant, bright, beautiful, old world style. There is some salinity, but there's also that bright fruit. And again, with the acid, it's just a yummy one. Also low in alcohol. This one's 13.2.
It does have more force and texture than that Grenache. But just a little bit of that bitterness right on the end, a little bit of like red plums, black plums are sort of where I go with that.
Totally.
A little bit of like broken dark chocolate on the nose.
I mean, again, with your describing, I love it.
I've tasted a lot of wines over the years.
I know, it's so good. I love it so much. I need you to write my tasting notes.
There we go. Yeah, very pretty.
Okay, we've got the weed whacker in the background going for you.
Yeah, nobody will hear that.
Okay, this one is really special.
Oh, there's a new look at the label.
Yes, this one, it's a Pinot Noir I make, also Santa Rita Hills. It's specifically for the property here, Diamond Sky Ranch.
Fabulous.
So we have these little holographic diamonds inside the sun. It's different than the other Santa Rita Hills that you just tried. So I'm interested to see what you think about this.
Like immediately it feels more savory than the last one.
Yes.
It's a darker color. I can still see most of my hand, but I can't see like all of my hand.
Yes. A small, tiny release for this little guy.
It's wilder. It's a little funkier.
It is.
What's your, are you using mostly natural yeasts, mostly cultivated yeasts?
Mostly natural. I am making my wine in a winery this harvest that is so clean. It's like a surgical station. It's like nothing is gonna fire off there. So something has to come into the winery first and ignite, and then generally the wild yeast will take care of the rest.
Yeah, just darker, richer than the last one.
Yes, and this one is higher in alcohol. This is the highest alcohol wine that I make. It's 13.9.
Yeah.
And I don't release this in the tasting room. It's really just here for the property. But yeah, I still think it has this really beautiful note to it, but I do love that it has that funky, sort of sassy bit to it.
Yeah, this is great stuff. I feel like this also could age for maybe like 8 to 10 years.
Totally. And I make wine that is microbiologically stable. You can age it forever if you have the patience for that sort of thing. But I do intentionally make wine to be enjoyed now, only because I'm not a terribly patient woman. Also, I'm not trying, like when people go in 5 years, I'm like, no, damn it. I want Tuesday with pizza. I want to know, like, I can open this now. So I'm trying to make wine for the people that don't have these prolific wine cellars necessarily, but the ones that do can lay down bottles and they'll just get better and better for sure. And this one in particular will.
Yeah, definitely. It's got enough structure and enough acidity, and it's got all of the pieces in balance that I feel like this is absolutely a Pinot that could last.
Yes, for sure. Cool.
Very cool.
Okay. Last one.
Last but not least.
Last but not least, the Syrah. So this is from Watch Hill Vineyard in Los Alamos, the New Alisos Canyon AVA. I love the vineyards up by Los Alamos, and this one gets some early morning fog. It keeps it a little bit cooler, so it does not have that heat and the sun intensity that you would get in San Ynez or Los Olivos or Ballard. This AVA is just, it's such a cool one. And I love Chateauneuf-du-Pape. I love Crozes-Hermitage. And so I fell so in love with the cold climate Syrahs here in Santa Barbara County. And this is a little cooler climate. I'd always made a Syrah from Santa Rita Hills. And the vineyard had some issues with Pierce's disease and phylloxera, if you can imagine. So I pivoted to Watch Hill, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I'm just like so distracted by the nose on this. Mm-hmm. It's like chicharron, it's like bacon, it's like pork belly fat and skin, like those yeah, it's like chicharron, but it's also like the like the pig's ears you give your dog.
It is.
That doesn't sound appetizing, but like that's the smell of that.
But you're right. It is. There are those savory, really awesome savory notes.
Yeah, and then it's fleshy. It's serious, but there's no alcohol burn like you sometimes can get in New World Syrah.
Right.
But it's thick in the mouth.
12.8% alcohol.
12.8.
And I got to tell you, this vintage, 2022, and 2023, I was like, oh my gosh, is it going to get there? Will it complete getting, ripe? And then it didn't. It just
did its thing. This is great.
Did its thing.
Yeah, this is beautiful. This is a wonderful example of American Syrah done correctly, in my opinion. I think,
cheers, darling.
Cheers. I absolutely love it.
I'm so glad.
Possibly bring out the cruchoir. Cruchoir. Say cruchoir.
Okay.